Hello. In this message, I wanted to discuss the concept of attachments and how we attach ourselves into this world and the actions under which we facilitate our being out into this world and how it relates to our attachments. And so, the concept behind attachments a lot of the time rests in the idea that we are being validated or facilitated or expressed through something, right? We externalize ourselves into that three-dimensional space, our three-dimensional world, and then we think or reinterpret that a specific set of actions, specific sets of circumstances, attachments, then validate us or fulfill us or bring us some sort of peace in this reality, in this world, by fulfilling our life, right, or making us happy, or keeping us going, or keeping us safe. So whatever set of circumstances you have assigned to why you participate in the attachments, they revolve around some sort of set of criterias, where you can find comfort and safety, or love, or a reflective love within them. And so we function most of our life under this pretense idea, not recognizing that we have built attachments to things, to actions, to people, to taste, smells, right? Um, and then instead of us looking at those actions and those people, those foods, or those um, experiences from an observational standpoint, where we can truly judge and evaluate them, we only look at them from this light of attachment, right? And so attachment then becomes this lens. It becomes this almost like a sixth sense in which, instead of us experiencing the world from the five senses, or even the multitude of senses that are beyond our space and time and feelings and emotions, we looked at the world through the lens of attachment for safety, attachment for love, attachment for validation, again, whatever that might be. And so we we perform this service to ourselves, and then in fact to all the actions and all the experiences that we partake in or propagate forth, by bringing this lens of attachment onto everything that we do. And so, how to step back, how to undo, how to unravel basically this preset disposition to functioning in such way, is to start to evaluate what we think the attachments offer us in return. We obviously, one, we do not realize that what we're doing right now has some sort of attachment um, intertwined into the action. But if you take any one action and you pause on it, right, especially an action that you're continuously doing, right, as something that you feel like you need to do, something that you think brings you pleasure, even if it does, something that you just continuously participate, like especially for the things where you can say, "Oh, I've always done that. Oh, we always do this. We all have always done that." Those are the primary suspects, for which, or items for which, you can then go, "Oh, because we have always done them, there is an attachment." That would be the easiest cherries to pick. And so when you start looking behind those items of, "I've always done that, but why?" Right? And so within this search, then the question why always becomes kind of the key to every solution. And the why, to begin with, will start flowing out of this concept of, well, we have always done that. We've always did this. It's just what we do, right? But that is not the answer, because when you're answering without the answer, then you go, okay, there's another why, right? And so, you know very quickly, those whys the loops of the whys and whys and whys and whys will take you to the core of why that attachment exists. It will take you to the core where you can start looking at, oh wow, this is actually an attachment. And there's an attachment that has the following criterias or the following pain bodies or the following traumas behind it, right? It has this in it and has this in it. And a lot of times it's not as simple as any one thing. So sometimes usually it has a multitude of things that are attached to what this attachment actually facilitates for you, validates in you, or brings you comfort or joy or reinforcement of self, or feeds some sort of past life or even this life pain body. And so one of the easiest way you can start to draw awareness to your being, one of the easiest ways you can start to observe your actions and see them for their truth would be to start looking at your attachments or your habits or the things that you just do just because you have always done them. And now would be a great time. The world is actually primed for that. Is for you to start going deep, truly deep within each one of those concepts and unravel all the whys behind them. I'm a huge proponent of the whys from the three-dimensional space, is because they open these doors. And then, sooner or later, as I mentioned before, when you notice yourself spinning in circles, answering the same, the why keeps on coming back, and you're trying to reward that why within the same way. That is a best way for you to see, oh, there's a trauma, there's this wall that I'm not allowing myself to go past, and now it's time. Now I can see it. Now I can see the truth behind this wall, and then I can start diving behind it, and I can start just tearing down these blocks that I have placed upon myself, and then seeing straight through the essence of me, right? The essence of the attachments that I have built, the essence of the blindfolders that I have placed within myself, the lessons of the lies that I continue to tell myself, of why I do things or why I don't do things, or why I like this or why I don't like that, right? All the judgments that we have. Um, right? A lot of times attachments come with judgments as well, right? Like, oh no, I'm attached to this, but I don't like that because, right? And so it usually creates this polarity of like, I'm attached to doing this, but I definitely don't want that. Or I'm doing this and this is better because that's worse somehow, right? So there's this duality. We have defined good and bad. We have defined valid and invalid. We have defined self and other. And so we have built these, rudimentary blocks to self, all to be able to uncover them and bring them to the surface. And then start evaluating our actions, start evaluating our words, start reevaluating our approach to life, right? And especially approaches to experiences through, these rudimentary blocks. And so when we make commitment, intentional commitment of, I will no longer exist in my own blindness, right? I will no longer accept the blindness that I have created for myself as my truth forward. That commitment to self, that commitment to your knowing, commitment to your honesty, it will start to give you opportunities to dissolve those blocks, right? To see through your attachments, to see them for what they actually are, and start unravel them to the core of the why, the true core of the why, where you will be able to sit within yourself and see, right? There will be this moment of like, and it's so at the end, that moment is so simple and it's so sincere, and half the time it might not even make any sense in this day and time, but it has been programmed, from the past so long that it has worked itself into our everyday functionality unbeknownst to us, based on some sense of blocks, some sense of traumas we never released, and then still live and propagate till this day. And so that, whenever you practice this, whenever you discover this path of going, oh, I see, and then a lot of times what I find within myself is, oh, that's silly, right? And so that the recognition of that silliness almost brings in this energetic. outflow of like, oh yeah, I that's silly. But then what it does energetically, it removes that from your system. Now, I'm not saying you will never repeat that mistake again, and I'm not saying you will never go back to the pain body again from some other way. You will. But after that, the second time and the third time and the fourth time, you'll be quicker and quicker and quicker at gaining awareness behind your action. You'll be an observer to those actions, an observer to those attachments more so than ever before, because you have made a cognitive, recognized decision to unblock your being, to start looking past your own lies and dig deep, right? It is the hardest thing that we can do, to commit ourselves to dig deep. But that is where the essence of us lies. Like the thing that you have been searching for all these years, like the yearning that you have felt, is just simply that discovery of truth within yourself. And it is exponentially beautiful, and it is all consuming in the most unconsuming way. It carries no weights. It carries pure joy. It carries pure bliss and ecstasy. Again, I'm falling short of the words to describe that, but the essence of you, the divinity, that the path is so magnificently beautiful that once you can make a commitment into your own self to see the essence of your truth in everything that you do, um, within that commitment, you make these steps to unraveling the blocks. And as the blocks get unraveled, then your entire life, goes on with each moment. It's like, oh my gosh, I did this because of that, or I do this because of that. And then you just start almost like intuitively, in the most easiest form of way, to unravel your actions and to see yourself for your truth. And then, sooner or later, you're just in bliss, because you can still participate in the things that you have done, and you can still do the things that you always do, but now without the lies of self, without the lies of the pretense of the traumas that you have been holding on to, and then built these attachments to things through the pain body of you. And so it's a gorgeous journey to partake in. It's not an easy journey, but it's a very personalized and specific to you, beautiful journey that we all came here for. We came here for this journey. So then we can start looking. And when we start looking, we start unraveling. And when we start unraveling, only truth shines. And then when the truth shines, nothing else can exist. And then that truth brings on that spark of change, where you're just are, right? Your things that just are, and you're just are, and there's this beauty, unexplainable, infinite beauty in just things being as is, for themselves being themselves without any definition forward. And so I hope if you're not touching on that now, you'll be able to touch on that very soon, as long as you make this commitment into the unraveling. And then, so looking through your attachments is the easiest way to start. So happy unraveling and happy living, and happy living your heart. Thank you.